Please call the roll.
Okay. Director Underhill? Director Underhill, are you on mute?
She's not on mute.
No, she's not.
Bertha, raise your hand if you're here.
I can't see her on my screen.
She was on.
I can see her.
Yeah.
I can.
Gone
Okay.
now. Okay, Director Cicada?
Yes, here.
Director Ratterman?
Here.
President Davidson?
Here.
And Director Thomas will join us later. Director Underhill, are you there yet? I see her.
Yeah, I tried to join the meeting through my browser. It won't let me in, so.
Do you want? Should we wait another minute? I can give Director Underhill a call real fast.
That would be great, Michael, to call her. And just a reminder that we are recording this meeting to everyone that's on. I just admitted Director Underhill to the meeting.
Yeah, she may need to call in.
But it seems like her internet's very slow.
We should have expected this. We had this issue with her before.
Yeah, she's back waiting in the lobby.
Waiting in the lobby, what does that mean?
I mean, she dropped off and had to log back in.
And I'm going to show everybody, if you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Nope.
In the calendar item that was sent to everybody, there's a phone in the top. If you just hit that, it will automatically call in. You don't have to push in any of the passcodes or anything. You just hit that red phone, which meant something different a few decades ago. But you just hit the red phone, it will call directly into the meeting. You don't have to look up the phone number. You just open up your calendar and hit the phone. I don't know, Rebecca, if you have Director Underhill's cell phone and can maybe text her or email her the information.
It looks like Michael was on the phone with her.
Oh,
Rebecca and I were both just on the phone with her. She's calling in right now.
perfect. And Michael, while you were on the phone, we explained you can just hit the phone on the calendar item. I'm not sure she's aware of that.
That's what we were just talking her through.
Perfect.
Here she comes.
John, while we're waiting, did you want to get some of the phone numbers?
Let's see what we've got. Well, we know 1-8 is President Davidson. Somebody has a phone number, last two digits, 87. Who is that?
That would be Director Underhill.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Okay, yeah, no, I
So
think
I-
everybody else is named, Ellen, so.
Terrific.
Director Underhill, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, I
All
can.
right.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
We can
Oh,
hear you loud
oh,
and clear.
great. All right, thanks.
Okay, so Director Underhill, I've taken roll, so I'm just going to call your name. Director Underhill?
Here,
Okay,
Present.
Great.
And Director Underhill, I would like to invite you to be able to open up the board packet. We're going to be using the documents that were in and sent in the board packet today. If you can't see the screen, you can certainly follow along with the board packet.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Terrific. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, President Davidson, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, I suppose I'm kind of close to getting on this thing, I think.
I think I just saw you jump in, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so next item on the agenda is public comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on any non-agendized item. We only have one agenda item here today. So is there any public comment today? Is there any public on today?
There are a few, yeah.
Okay. Is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the presentation and discussion on strategic planning.
Okay, thanks everybody. Off to a little bit of a bumpy start, but I think we're all here now and can hear each other. So I appreciate the patience. And there's been a lot of work getting to this point. So I for one, am really excited about today. I do want to point out a couple of the members of the public that we have. Al Alt is our county administrative officer, who's joined us, and really appreciate his presence here. Obviously a critical partner for CCWD. So thank you for joining us, Al. I see Shane Dante on there too. Foothill Conservancy is also an important CCWD partner. So appreciate you being here today, Shane. And I don't think I see any other members of the public, but I did reach out to other agencies, and actually was somewhat surprised at how interested people are in this process. I got a lot of responses of people saying that they're going to try to jump in at some point during the meeting or during the next. We have 3 of these scheduled workshops, and so if they couldn't make it today, they were going to try to participate in some of the other workshops. And I think it proves out, I think, what we knew going into this was the process of developing a strategic plan is really valuable in and of itself, in addition to the final product. But reaching out both internally within the organization, all levels of the organization, and with external stakeholders, bringing everybody together to participate in this process, I think is going to be really, really valuable. So I was really pleased to see the interest that we got from some of our external partners. We have been through a tremendous amount of change, as everybody at CCWD knows, over the last few years. I think we're in an interesting position where most agencies, you tend to see a lot more board turnover and less staff turnover. And I think the opposite is true for us in some ways. We've had a very consistent and stable board for a long time, and a tremendous amount of staff turnover in the last few years. I think this process very, I think the timing is perfect. With all the new staff that we have, with the new almost completely new management team, in addition to the multiple crises that we've had to navigate over the last year, especially 2 years, and, with PSPS, with COVID, wildfires. We're not far out of the last drought, and it just seems like one thing after the next. And so, in addition, and then we also have a lot of new initiatives that the district is adopting, new technology, new organizational structure, a lot of change, I think, is the theme. So bringing all of us together to go through this process and develop a strategic plan to really, I think, gel what the pieces that we have in place and provide us with a framework for decision making going forward, I think is going to be really valuable, because one of the things I don't want to lose is some consistency and some stability going forward. We know there's going to be more change coming. And so having something that we've all worked through, having a framework that we can rely on in making decisions, navigating crises going forward, I think is going to be tremendously valuable for us. So I think it's just a way to capitalize on the achievements that we've had so far in the last few years, and really really bring us together behind a solid framework moving forward. So with that, I'm really excited about the team that we have. I've known John Woodling for several years now through Aqua's State Legislative Committee and the Aqua Board. And I've come across Ellen in the past through Aqua's strategic planning process. Both of them are very experienced management consultants, strategic planners. John was a GM himself, and so just bring a tremendous amount of experience in the water industry and in the strategic planning industry. And so I think it's just a perfect team, a great fit for CCWD. And then Maria is the one making it happen at GEI and happens to be a Calaveras County local. So we have a GEI, a really strong GEI team, and some local presence on the consulting team as well. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Ellen, and really excited to see the participation and attendance we have here, and I'm really excited to move this process forward.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm going to turn it over to John Woodling, but I do want to say as well on behalf of the team, we're very privileged to get to work with all of you. This is very exciting. We love the ability to really help forecast your future together and really align the board with staff and with your customer needs. So with that, John.
Thanks, Ellen. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for your participation today. I wanted to pick up on Michael mentioned that the process of the strategic planning was also important, in addition to what will be a finished plan at some point. And I would say it's probably more important. And there's a quote I like attributed to then General Eisenhower that says, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. So, these discussions, this interaction we're going to have that will prepare all of you to understand each other better, understand your shared vision, is really going to be the great benefit. We'll document that in a plan that and especially the stuff we'll talk about today, mission, vision, and values, will be kind of your North Star that you've agreed on to guide the district. But you'll be better prepared, I think, through this process to then address the things that happen, like COVID and like PSPS and like everything else we're going to be facing in the future. So today is the first of what we have envisioned as 3 workshops of the board. Today we'll talk about mission, vision, and values, really at the highest level of your strategic plan. Subsequent workshops will get down into goals and then down into objective level actions. And those will then really be operationalized by an annual implementation plan, your annual budgeting, and the ongoing work of the board. So as we go through these workshops, we're gonna get deeper and more detailed into process and the board's activities. This follows surveys, and I appreciate everyone's participation in the survey. It follows interviews that Ellen conducted with the 5 directors. And then we worked with the management staff to absorb that input we got and really plan for today. And that's going to be the model we follow. We'll come back out of this meeting, take the input, and start to plan for the content and process of the next workshop. But really, ultimately, it's going to be these board workshops where things really get agreed to and discussed for what will ultimately be written up in the plan. So it's really going to be a partnership between the board, the management staff, and the consultants, and then including input from all the staff. All of the staff of the organization were invited to take the survey. We did get, we got a pretty fair response. I think it would be useful to get even more. But I'd be happy to answer any questions related to process and timing and schedule. And if there are none of those, then we'll turn it over to Maria and she'll walk through what we found from the survey results. So any questions on process and timing? All right, one last thing I want to do before we turn it over to Ellen is recognize the directors and public that are here. I just want to go through a quick listing of the staff. Brad Arnold is on. Charles Palmer, Damon Wyckoff, Jesse Hampton, Jessica Self, Michael's here, of course, Rebecca Callan, Rebecca Hitchcock, Stacy Lawler, and then a few other people, just maybe Michael knows who they are, or they can identify themselves. Tiffany Burke.
I do know who they are. They're all CCWD staff, and
okay.
I'm really pleased to see them participating here today.
Yeah, great. So we've got Tiffany Burks, Pat Burkhart, Kelly Soulier Doyle, I probably botched that, Holly Bohm, which I also probably botched, and I think that's it. So really great turnout today, and I want to encourage everyone to participate. Although this is a board workshop, the more participation and input we get, the better. So Maria.
Thanks, John. Sorry, I jumped the gun there a little bit earlier. So I'm going to pull up our survey results. Thank you everyone for participating in the survey. It was conducted on SurveyMonkey, and I'm going to go ahead and review quickly some of the topics that were covered. So we sent out a survey, an online survey for everyone to complete so that we could get a jump start on collecting data about what's important to everyone in terms of a mission, vision, and values, which is going to be our focus today. We also got a head start on some of our future topics for future workshops, which are goals and objectives, desired results, looking toward the future. And so we had a total of 34 responses, which is really great. And I'm going to we very at a high level summarize those results. And then at each workshop, as we dive into each topic, we'll dig down deeper into the individual results. But there are so many, I'm just going to quickly overview them this morning. So our first question was about the mission statement. There is a current mission, and I'm displaying it here. And so we asked everyone, does this mission really adequately define what the district's current purpose is? And so what we've heard is, for the most part, yes. But we did ask, what are some things that we could add or edit in order to more align it with our purpose moving forward? So here are some of the common responses. Hard work, safety, maybe including some of the additional services in the statement itself. looking at ourselves and how we're part of a bigger region, and cost effectiveness, reliability, and what are our drivers, not just our services. Next, we moved on to a question about the vision, and there is no current vision, but we asked for some descriptors of what people see as significant to the district's future. And so here are some of the answers that we got. Collaborative, community-oriented, cost-effective, customer-oriented, eco-friendly, and you can see the rest here. I'm not going to go through each one. And then on some of these questions on the right side of the screen, you'll see we have some of the outliers. And these are responses that weren't common. They were different from the others, but we're calling them out because maybe someone had a creative, different idea, or they might be saying something that other people hadn't thought of. So we do pull out the outliers and then we summarize the common responses. And that's going to be the typical format you'll see here in these results. And the results are summarized in the agenda packet. You can use that handout to follow along if you aren't currently looking at the screen. The next topic we asked about are the values. This is something that we're going to work on defining today. And we gave some descriptors and we asked people to rank them and choose their top 5 preferences. And these are the results of those answers. I'm just going to show some of the top ones here. Transparency, communication, fiscal responsibility, teamwork, integrity, service-oriented, and sustainability were some of the most popular responses, all in the double digits. And considering there were so many descriptors, to get into the double digits is kind of our top answers. So here we can see why did people choose these descriptors. We asked people to write it in. And some of the most common responses, again, are going to be summarized here on the right. So why did you choose transparency? Well, transparency increases trust. It encourages communication. And transparency, like many of these descriptors, is important both at the internal and external level, both within the organization and then outside the organization. So something that we'll be moving on to in later workshops are goals and objectives. And these goals and objectives are what will align with the mission, vision, and values that we establish beginning today. So we had a number of categories that we asked about goals and objectives. The first one was water resources management. And you'll see here some recurring themes for priorities in water resources management: grant writing, partnerships, water rights, water supply resilience, watershed management. And here are some priority actions: active partnership, climate change adaptation, and forest management. More than 50%, more than half of the suggestions related to watershed management were related to wildfire protection.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Hydropower, there were a lot of FERC preparedness responses as suggested priority actions, and evaluating how hydropower could potentially generate additional income in the future. O&M for both water and wastewater. Some suggested actions include cross-training of staff, standardization, and technology improvements. I'm just kind of breezing through these because there are quite a number, and we're going to dive deeper into them later. As far as infrastructure, prioritizing the rehab and upgrade of aging facilities, looking for sustainable funding, and increased capacity and efficiency were some of our top answers. Customer experience. A very common response was the idea to conduct customer surveys. So that one has a little star there. Some additions to the website so people can do things themselves, some self-service options, and rates, having affordable rates and demonstrating the values provided to the ratepayers. Now, policy engagement and advocacy has to do with any things that may affect the district and your customers. So suggested priority actions include monitoring those and participating in the formation of those, and maybe dedicating some people to spend time to that. Strategic partnerships are how we interact outside of the organization. So common suggestions include increasing partnerships at all the levels, federal, state, regional, maintaining an active role with organizations, attending those meetings, staying aware of key events. And then we start getting into some of the inner workings of the district. And we asked about employee engagement and wellness. And some of the recurring themes were appreciating and recognizing employees and making sure there's plenty of communication and transparency. Fiscal responsibility was a popular topic, and aligning financing and improving long-term financing were some of the top priorities. And finally, how do we create a sustainable organization moving forward? There was some thought about succession planning and knowledge sharing. How do we keep that knowledge as people move into the next phase, leaving the district, and employee training, and really using this mission, vision, and values that we establish to direct some of the decision-making moving forward. So these next questions were open-ended, and we asked, what do you see as the most significant outcomes in the next 5 years? So common themes include improved communication, both internal and external, making sure all of those rehab projects are getting implemented and that there is sufficient budget to do so, finding additional funding sources for long-term funding plans, making sure customers are satisfied, that the FERC timeline is on track, and identifying what are some more opportunities in water transfer storage and banking. And we also asked, what do you see as challenges for the future? A common challenge for all districts is aging infrastructure across the state and I suppose the nation. Succession planning, customer satisfaction, FERC relicensing, making sure there's a full staff, security, both cybersecurity and on-site security. There are unanticipated, natural disasters, other wildfires or climate change that should be anticipated and planned for. And removing barriers to any internal cooperation that would benefit the district. We also asked not just about challenges, but what are the opportunities moving forward? And people saw a lot of funding opportunities that could be investigated, as well as during the FERC relicensing period. And there are staff-related opportunities as well, including that succession planning that people brought up a number of times. We asked for a vision of success. So you'll see here some of the recurring themes: improved customer satisfaction, a secure funding mechanism with a balanced budget, and making sure those upgrade and rehab projects are complete. Our last question is one we always like to include, and that is there anything we should stop doing right away? And some of the things were more technical in nature, just making sure things are standardized and that we're moving forward technologically. So not too many surprises there. So thank you everyone who was able to participate. We're going to use these results next to form the mission, vision, and value statements. And I'm going to turn that portion over to Ellen. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And directors, before we move forward with the mission and vision, I wanted to see if there were any questions about the survey or comments.
Are we still excuse me, this is Director Underhill. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to know, did we have any stragglers in this survey that we had to consider? Or
Yes, there were some later responses. The survey did close at the original date. However, we opened up a new link for people who were not able to take the survey and sent that link out. And we did get some additional responses after that request.
okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other comments, questions? And also, again, Maria mentioned that I had the opportunity to actually interview each of the directors. So all the comments that came from your interviews were also incorporated into the survey results. So we've captured that. You're going to see a lot of that here today as we move forward with the mission, vision, and values conversation, but it's also going to help form workshop number 2, where we talk about goals. And then the third workshop.
If I might make a quick comment, just for Ellen and John and Maria's benefit, I don't believe that we have introduced you to Matt Weber yet. He is our general counsel. He is on the meeting today. He's a partner at Downey Brand, but he has represented CCWD for many years. I don't know, Matt, 10 years?
Yeah, it's about 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, it just occurred to me that I don't know that we sent a survey to Matt, and obviously he's got a lot of insight and experience with the district. So I think we should make sure we give him that opportunity as well.
Great, that's a good point. And I want to say that, we still have several more meetings coming up. So for those of you who didn't get a chance to do the survey, or if you've had some ideas since the survey, which for me occur at midnight, you should feel free to email us at any time. We want to hear your thoughts, and we don't want to wait until workshop number 2. We want to start incorporating any ideas or comments so we can bring it back to the second and third workshops with the board. So you shouldn't hesitate in the interim to give any feedback that comes to mind. And that could include challenges or opportunities you're thinking about, etc. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, and I think that the underlying point is to get as much input as we can, and the survey is a tool. But I think the message we've tried to deliver to staff is that's one tool. But any other, if there's any other way that we can encourage people to provide feedback, let us know and let's do it.
Great, thank you. So with that, we're going to go on with the next part of our agenda, which is envisioning the district's mission and vision. Again, you already have a mission, but you don't have a vision. So what we did as part of this process, and Maria is going to bring up a document so we can have a working conversation. And we've already recognized this is not ideal remotely, but we want to be able to capture your thoughts and ideas. And we're going to do some wordsmithing obviously here, but our intent today is to get input to the mission, vision, and values so we can go back and rewrite them. So by no means are these the final decision. We actually provided 2 additional mission statements in addition to the one you already have, 2 vision options as well, and a number of values. And the idea was to do some of the heavy lifting and integrate and incorporate everything that came out of the survey and interviews. We want to be able to capture that. And then what happened was the consultants did the first draft, if you will. And then we met with your leadership team who are all participating on the call. And we then did more changes to the options for mission, vision, and values. And then after our meeting with the leadership then re-met and looked at it to look for any additional changes as they began to absorb. And that's what's going to happen here today. You're going to all see it for the very first time from the board packet, but we'll continue to take ideas. Our idea is to bring back the mission, vision, and values to workshop number 2. We want to get incremental votes from all of you so we know that we're hitting the target and we don't get to the end of the 3rd workshop and say, well, we really didn't have this right or that right. So we're going to try to start tacking this down. So in workshop 2, we will bring the rewritten versions back from today's meeting, and you'll have an opportunity to look at it one more time, make comments, and then we'll vote on the adoption of the mission, vision, and values. And then we'll begin our discussion on the goals. So next slide, please. So our existing mission statement is our team is dedicated to protecting, enhancing, and developing our rich water resources to the highest beneficial use for Calaveras County while maintaining cost conscious, reliable service, and our quality of life through responsible management. 80% of you said this was adequate. 20% of you said, no, we think that there's some additional input we'd like to add. So we took that information and from the common responses, I'm not going to go through all of it, and we drafted 2 additional mission statements from the statements. I want to remind everyone that the mission statement is really to talk about what it is that the mission does. What do we do in a very succinct way? The vision is to talk about what do we envision in the next 5 years? What do we want to become? It may not mean we're exactly that right now, but it's raising the bar a bit to visualize not just what we do, but how we do it. So it's a kind of a combination of your mission as well as some of the values. So we want to use these to be complementary and not repetitive. So we developed 2 very distinct missions in addition to the mission that you currently have. Then we developed the vision, and we'll have a chance to actually review the mission and vision statements together. So the 2 additional mission statements are CCWD is dedicated to protecting, enhancing, and developing Calaveras County's water resources for safe, reliable, and cost-effective water and wastewater services with responsible watershed management. This mission statement was really meant to be more reflective of what you do because you are a unique water district in that you have more than just drinking water responsibilities. You also do wastewater and you have a watershed. So we want to make sure we captured that. In the second mission statement, we say CCWD protects, enhances, and develops Calaveras County's water resources to the highest beneficial use for our community and deliver safe, reliable, and cost-effective services to our customers. So it doesn't necessarily outline the services. So what we'd like to ask the directors to do right now, and we can take input from the public as well, but we want the directors to respond first to these, whether these 2 mission statements, which ones, really resonate with you more? Do you want a combination of the 2? Is there something missing? Are there words in your mission statement you think aren't in either statement that you would like to see in that statement? So with that, just a minute for you to read that again to yourselves, and then we'll open up the conversation. Okay, Director Ratterman.
Okay, one of the things that I had noticed from our existing mission statement is that word watershed management is not in there, and I do like suggestion 1 because of that. But the one thing that was taken out of the original mission statement is responsible management, which I think is also important, and it has nothing to do with watershed management. Just the word management is in there, and so that's just my comment. If there's a way of, it's not really combining 1 and 2, but we took away responsible management as far as managing the entire district and everything else, and we added watershed management, but I don't think we had to take out. I'd like to put that back in somehow.
Sure, appreciate that. And Maria, I don't know if you can use the comments feature of the PowerPoint.
Actually, yeah, I've got a Word document here I'm going to pull up for while we edit. I'm tracking changes and I'm going to add comments here.
Terrific. So if we don't fit this perfectly today, I just want to let everybody know that that's okay. We will go back to the ranch, as they say, and put that in 1 or 2 after we hear everybody's thoughts on the mission statement. So thank you, Director Ratterman. Director Sakata.
Hello. So I think both of these are good, and I like Scott's suggestion. But when I'm looking at suggestion number 1, when I read is dedicated, it sounds like we will do our best to try and protect. I'd like to see it say something like CCWD will protect, enhance, and develop, etc. That sounds more like we will not do it. I mean, we will do it. Just a comment.
Great, thank you. So what we hear you saying is you rather have, for example, our team or CCWD will protect, enhance, and develop Calaveras County's water resources, et cetera. So be more direct with our intention. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to the chat room just to see some input that we got. Whoops, I blew that. Hold on. So the chat room, as offered by Brad Arnold, says could say is committed to rather than is dedicated to, offering a strong word like committed instead of dedicated. That's another option. Thank you, Brad. Any other comments from directors?
Excuse me, I would, I really have a little bit of a problem with suggestion number 1, where you have wastewater services right next to watershed management. Just, you know, bringing those two thoughts together just sounds kind of, they're not conducive. Well, I don't think they belong together.
Well, Bertha, they belong together at Lake Tulloch.
And it is true, for decades, we have been taking wastewater and cleaning it up to a level where we're actually doing restoration of our wetlands and watersheds as well. So it is a technology that we've been employing, but I totally hear Director Underwood that it just doesn't seem congruent when people are looking at that to put the two together. So thank you for pointing that out. We'll take that comment and then ask if other directors have any comments on either of the suggestions. Does one suggestion, for example, suggestion 1 or 2 resonate more, or would you like to see some combination thereof? And Director Sakata, did you still have some comments?
I have a comment. This is Scott.
Okay.
Bradford again.
Wait.
The difference between suggestion 1 and suggestion 2. I just like the way suggestion 2 starts. And Brad did have a comment about using dedicated or committed, but if you just say, if in suggestion 2 just states that it's already happening, I mean, and we're not committed to accomplishing something, we're already doing it. That we protect, enhance, develop, as opposed to we're going to dedicate ourselves to it or we're going to commit ourselves to it. It sounds better the way it starts.
Thank you. Yes, it's more direct and sounds like it's in action as we speak. So thank you, Director. And I'm sorry, Director Sakata, did you have some more comments?
Yes. It seems like DWR is trying to get away from using the word wastewater. It's more of recycled water. However, in this statement, it does say it's a service we're talking about, but maybe to keep in mind, and maybe it's not even in this particular portion of this mission statement, but we could look at wastewater as recycled water instead of calling it wastewater. And not in this particular circumstance, but just maybe to be mindful that I know DWR does like to look at this as recycled water now, reusable. And again, it's not, I think, in this particular mission statement that I'm asking you to make a change, just maybe we can keep that in mind going further into this project.
Yeah, and just on that same topic, Director, do you like actually naming the services in the mission statement? Is that important to you?
I believe so. It is to me.
Okay, great. Thank you for that feedback.
Well,
Hey, Ellen, this is John Woodling. I guess I want to pick up on something both Director Underhill, Director Sakata said, and I think the water service and wastewater service are two key services, but the watershed management and then the idea of even the wastewater is still a resource. That's kind of an overriding framework within which those services are provided. So I don't know exactly how to word that, but I just want to verify if that kind of captures the theme of those two comments, and then we can work on, okay, how do we clarify, what's an overriding framework of the work of the district versus the services and the infrastructure.
The one comment I have about naming them is we're kind of naming half of what we do. We also have hydro is not listed in there. So I mean, if we're going to list our services, do we list all of them? Or
Yeah, thank you for raising that. That was a discussion among the staff as well. There's a lot of things the district does. These seem very primary. And we in a mission statement, we want to make sure that we're very succinct at the same time. We're not trying to describe everything that we do, which is one of the reasons we went to suggestion number 2, where we didn't get specific because we recognize the mission statement's going to be used in many areas, but it's also going to be used in conjunction with our website. So with that,
Okay.
It sounds like, Director, you
Could
want us to add hydro to that list. Yes, Director Sakata?
Yeah, with what John said, perhaps where it says responsible watershed management, you could include responsible watershed and recycled water management. Is that captured, or is watershed kind of say it enough? Just a comment. And then maybe remind the directors, we used that little hand. However, with Bertha, that won't work because she's on the phone, I think, before we talk, to keep everybody talking over each other.
Oh, okay.
But Bertha, I don't think you can raise your hand because you're on phone.
I can, but nobody will see me. But I do have a comment.
Yes, go ahead,
have a
Director.
comment. Yeah, Cindy, you said that from a state standpoint, DWR, they're concentrating on using recycled water. When we want to think about our mission statement is going to be out there. When will we be changing it? Should we now make the change to recycled? Just in keeping with what the state, is driving us towards.
If I'm supposed to respond to you, I will say, I believe we should start referring to it as recycled water. I know we have a MSD. However, in this particular suggestion 1, we're talking about service, not a result of that service. So I think wastewater services is good, but maybe we need another statement, whether it's in this particular mission statement or somewhere else, that we call it recycled water. That's
and I would
thoughts.
recommend probably with those kind of outcomes for the vision statement, what we're striving to do, and we're going to get a chance. Some of the ideas that you're bringing up right now in the mission statements, we may put those just in the vision statement because it makes more sense. So that's another reason we're capturing the ideas here and not completely rewriting it. So,
because maybe we don't want to keep adding to the mission statement. It's going to get pretty wordy. Yes. And maybe we would look more towards refining some of the words.
Yes, and I would recommend that we can get wordier in the vision statement. Keep it more simple, which is why we offer suggestion number 2, where we talk about our services more generally and not as specifically. So, Director Davidson, did you have any comments on the mission statements? Director Davidson, are you muted?
I think you should
Can you
be.
hear me now? Am I with you?
There, can we hear you?
I don't know, can you?
There we
Yes,
are.
we
Yeah,
can hear you now. Do you have any comments on the mission statements?
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't think we should be as specific as people are trying to make it. I think having a simple general statement is better overall. So I mean we can't define everything to a T. I'm actually content with the mission statement we have. I like the idea of the watershed management, but I mean, again, when we start talking about every specific thing that we do, I think we open ourselves up to criticism for leaving stuff out when we're very specific, or doing something that's not in our mission statement when it comes up. So, I mean, why don't we have forest management in there? Why don't we have? I mean, we can be real specific about a lot of things.
Thank you, and
So I'm not.
Thank you, Director. I do want to, Maria, if you don't mind, I just want to switch. We're going to come back to the mission statement, but can you fast forward to the vision statement just so we can get an idea where we can take some of these other thoughts that came up this morning?
And Ellen, I just want to point out, I don't know if you saw that it looks like Director Thomas has joined the meeting now.
Oh, terrific. Welcome, Director Thomas.
Sorry I'm late. I had other responsibilities, unfortunately.
No, we're glad you're here. We're just getting started with the hands-on. So do you have the vision statements written out that we developed, Maria? So right here, just to give an example of a vision statement, we can make these actually much lengthier than the mission. Our vision is to lead and collaborate with our partners to provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain the health and resilience of our community. The second one is our vision is to provide thoughtful leadership to service our community with resilient water resources and to promote healthy watersheds for our collective safety and well-being. So I just wanted to give you a flavor of that before we go back to the mission statements. This is an area where we could add, even if we wanted, a few bullets on some of the services that we provide. But remember, this is going to be coupled, it's going to be on your website where it shows all the services. Thank you. So if you want to go back to the mission statement, Director Davidson, did you have any other comments on the mission statement?
No.
Okay, thank you. Director Sakata.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I saw your hand up. That's why I asked.
Oh,
Director Ratterman.
sorry, that must have been a.
Yeah, could you just go into a minute explaining the difference in purpose of a mission and a vision? What are they? I know we don't have a vision statement. What will we use it for, and do we need? Why do we need both? And I'm not trying to be difficult in saying I believe moving forward on this that we will have both. But if we can go into this a little bit of explanation as to why.
So the reason, first of all, just to back up, almost every public agency has a mission statement. It's pretty common to have a mission statement. It just basically says, this is what we do. Vision statements are really used. You see it a lot more in public agencies, but you almost always see it in private industry. And the vision statements allows you to envision what the future looks like. It becomes a source of inspiration, almost like a motivation or a byline to who you are. And it describes not just the future of the organization, but the future of your industry in general and what you hope to achieve. And so it gives you a more opportunity to describe what you want to become. And when we do strategic planning is not just about what we do right now. What we do right now is really important. However, the world is changing, regulations are changing, and values are changing from generation to generation. So a vision statement gives you an opportunity to capture the essence of your mission, what you do, but also how you do it and what you want to achieve in 5 years or beyond. So it's meant to be more visionary and less, yeah, we do this right now, we just do wastewater. So when Director Sakata was talking earlier about, hey, we're really trying to move in the direction to make all water usable. And that's one of the reasons DWR is pushing for wastewater to be recyclable, so we can use it and become more sustainable and more resilient. We can actually use these different types of water to build healthy watersheds. So you don't have to have a vision statement. There are plenty of agencies who don't, but they are recommended just to suggest and bring your values and your missions and amalgamate that together to envision what the agency wants to do. Beyond just, you want to do beyond just service your communities. You're not just providing a service. You want to service your community so you communities can do what they want to do and achieve. So whether that be urban or ag or whatever the goals of the community, you have the charge to make sure that we're providing the services that can help us achieve. For example, with one of you directors, we were talking about the general plan that was just done for your county and what that means to your district and what do you need to do now to meet the needs of the general plan over time. So it's just, again, a way to project that everything we're doing today, we may need to be doing it differently, or we may be needing to do something more than what we're currently doing today. So that's why we do it. I hope that's an explanation that you were looking for.
Thank you. Yes.
Ellen, this is Bertha Underhill. Listen,
yes.
When we say our vision, would it sound kind of, well, not weird, but could we make just put a word in there to say to our ratepayer that we are doing it as cost effective as possible? What word could we use saying that that's part of our vision? We want to, think of them.
That's typically particularly for public agencies, we try to get that management idea that came up earlier, cost effective, in the mission statement. It tends to be part of your directive almost. Do you want to move back, Maria, please, to the mission statement? Thank you. So I think we put it in suggestion number 1, for example. First of all, we have it in the existing mission statement. It says, while maintaining cost-conscious, reliable service. In suggestion 1, we changed it to cost-effective water. So, and we also kept it in suggestion number 2. Cost-effective was something that was really important that came out of the interviews and the survey. So you will see it in all 3 versions of the mission.
Mission statement.
Yeah,
but
because it's fundamental to what you do. You aren't a private industry. You aren't Tesla, for example, that, there's unbound money to do whatever you want. You do have to do it within a certain framework. It's an obligation. So that's often why we keep cost effective in the mission statement.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Director Sakata, your hand is up.
Ellen, this is Director Thomas.
Yes.
My hand is up.
Great.
I don't see any reference to addressing one of the biggest problems that I have perceived over the years that CCWD has, and that's we are not a trusted organization. And I think that somewhere in the mission statement or the vision statement, we ought to just tell people that it is our objective to be regarded as a trusted organization. We're going to conduct ourselves in a manner that is going to earn the trust of the community. I don't know exactly how to wordsmith that, but I feel strongly that it should be somewhere in these opening identifying statements.
Thank you. And we did, we tried to get that with reliable as well as beneficial, but you're right, we're not as direct with that. Maria, it might be helpful to go to the slide that has the table with the vision and the missions right next to each other. Right here. So maybe this would be helpful to edit from. So under the visions, we say our vision is to lead and collaborate with our partners to provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain the health and resilience of our community, and the vision to provide thoughtful leadership to service you're right. I don't think we've definitely have the trust idea in the value statement, but I think that is something we should come back and we'll be able to integrate Director Thomas in either the mission or the vision.
Okay.
Yeah, Ellen, this is John. I think, the fact that Director Thomas is identifying, we don't have that now. I think capturing that in the vision, what the organization looks like in the future is a good idea. And I think it also captures, it captures Director Underhill's comment too, because I think part of being trusted is convincing the customers that you're spending their money wisely and responsibly.
Yeah, and I think we could put it even somewhere in suggestion 1 of the vision where it says, provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain the health and resilience to build the trust of our community, or in trust of our community. Something like that under the vision statement.
So I think Director Sakata has her hand back up now.
Yes, Director Sakata?
Yes. Yes, I just want to thank Russ for making that statement about the trust, because that's exactly how I feel, and really important. And I like the discussion you were just talking about, where to include that.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, trust came up a lot, both from the internal surveys and the director interviews. So that is something that we want to make paramount to rebuilding and rekindling with the community, as well as internal with staff, to have that foundation. So thank you. Any other observations or comments, directors, on the mission statement?
None here.
Hey, Ellen, if I can, kind of propose something that I think maybe synthesizes some of the comments and captures parts of both 1 and 2. I think we heard comments about including services, and if we include them, do we have to include all of them? So I was going to propose maybe CCWD protects, enhances, and develops the water resources and responsibly manages the watersheds of Calaveras County to provide safe, reliable, and cost-effective services to our customers. So it gets the water resources watershed management framework, and then just cover services broadly rather than listing them all. And I think that captures a lot of what we heard. But
can you put that in the chat room? Is that something Maria can cut and paste in the chat room?
It probably would take me.
Oh, you just said that off the top of your head? I'm impressed.
I'd
be impressed if you could say it again.
Here's what I said, Maria. CCWD protects, enhances, and develops the water resources and manages the watersheds of Calaveras County to provide safe, reliable, and cost-effective services to our customers. And then I think trusted really becomes part of the vision and the values especially. But I kind of agree with the comment that if we're going to list the services, all of a sudden we have 4 or 5 or 6 things that then maybe is too wordy for the mission statement.
Yeah, I think that's why we landed, we developed suggestion number 2, but suggestion number 3 takes some of these ideas that were discussed by the directors this morning. So I guess I want to ask each of the directors, how does suggestion 3 resonate? And Director Sakata, I'm going to start with you because I still see your hand up. So if you could comment on suggestion number 3, if that resonates.
So before I say something, when I'm done talking after my hand is raised, I need to click it to lower it. It doesn't do it automatically.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
Let me lower my hand. Okay. So suggestion 3 I like, but I read it as it says, like it's already doing that. And I kind of think it does, with the exception of cost effective and trust. So I like having CCWD will protect, enhance, and develop the water resources. That's just my comment.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that one-
we'll add will, and we don't have trust in the mission. We'll put that in the vision, which seems more appropriate. Thank you. Director Ratterman.
Yeah, I like the way number 3 reads right now, that it's the what we're doing. It's what we're supposed to be doing. And then if we're going to be doing something different in the future, like what Cindy just said, is we will do something in the future. I think that might be in our vision where trust is going to go. But what we've done here with John's suggestion on number 3, which I think is super, is we've added that word, we manage in our watershed, which includes a lot of things. There's a lot of things that go into that, and we're not listing our services, which is what Director Davidson had brought up. I'm thinking that if we're going to look to do something in the future, that might be in our vision.
Okay, great. And I did want to check in with Director Davidson right now, because I know you like the existing mission statement. If the suggestion 3 resonate and capture that management piece that you referred to earlier?
Well, again, I don't know that we, I can't see it right here, and I can't remember every word that we've said because I'm not on the other website. But I mean, did we poll the board to see if we needed to change the mission statement and then add a vision statement?
Sure, we did in the survey where 80% said that the current mission statement is adequate and 20% said they would like to see some changes. So we incorporated the changes and developed a new mission statement. So we started with the original, but we added some things to the original.
Yeah, I
We did
guess,
not-
Director Davidson's comment is, did we explicitly ask the 5 board members, do we need to change the mission statement?
If you're asking now, my vote is yes.
And
I'm sorry,
Cindy
you said
says
that.
yes.
And again, if you're asking me, I would have said no at the beginning of this, but I like this discussion, and I think we're improving what we had. And I agree with Director Davidson that we don't need to, but I think this is better than what we started with.
And this is
Okay,
Director Underhill. I'm for the changes. I think the additions are great.
Okay, I just wanted to get that out of the way, because if we need to be talking, we need to have a consensus of the board on anything that we talk about here, in the future. I mean, we're just wasting our time. If it's ultimately going to be adopted by the board, we should at least start to poll the board to find out if we need to have a discussion at all.
Sure. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And so I guess my question then, Director Davidson, would suggestion 3 meet your needs? Or would
Again,
you
I
like-
can't see it. I'm not
I'm
gonna.
gonna read it again. I'm going to read it again, and you'll get a chance to see it. We're going to republish it, and you'll see it before workshop number 2. CCWD protects, enhances, and develops the water resources and manages the watersheds of Calaveras County to provide safe, reliable, and cost-effective services to our customers.
I don't have any problem with that. I really don't. It doesn't bother me one way or the other.
Okay, thank you. Director Thomas, did we hear from you?
Yes, yeah, I like John's suggestion a lot. Let's publish it. Good.
Okay, so let's just bold that one for now. Maria, that would be great. And can you copy that so we can put it next to the visions when we're reviewing vision statements?
And the other thing I like about number 3 is that it does use the word Calaveras County in it, as opposed to number 2, it should change it to community. And I think saying what our community is. There's a lot of communities in Calaveras County, but the community that we're talking about is the entire county.
Great. So I'm going to reread the new mission statement. CCWD protects, enhances, and develops the water resources and manages the watersheds of Calaveras County to provide safe, reliable, and cost-effective services to our customers. So looking at vision statement number 1, which you have in your packet, our vision is to lead and collaborate with our partners to provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain the health and resilience of our community. So we get to, community came up a lot, I would say, in the surveys, which is one of the reasons we tried to incorporate that in both vision statement 1 and 2. Vision statement 2 is our vision is provide thoughtful leadership to service our community with resilient water resources and promote healthy watersheds for our collective safety and well-being. We went with these words like resilient. If you'll recall, there were a number of suggestions for our vision statement, and that's how we came up with these words of being able to look at what we'll be doing in the future to capture things like Director Sakata had mentioned with recycled water and other innovations that happen in water. The other reason we chose partnerships was a really strong theme, both internal partnerships as well as partnerships with our adjacent agencies and watersheds and other agencies that we could collaborate with in the future.
Hey, Ellen, I just wanted to maybe take a step back and, be responsive to Director Davidson and ask the question explicitly of the board. And I think we've heard some things that people want to convey about looking towards the future, but just more explicitly, does the board develop and adopt a vision statement as part of the strategic plan? And because I think we need to be responsive to I think many of the board members telling us this needs to be a board driven plan.
So starting with Director Underhill, do you feel like we need to do a vision that will complement the mission statement?
Well, you're talking about, initially you said that it just gave us something ephemeral. Is that a good word that CCWD is saying? Something that's, not specific, but just a vision of where we want to go. And that takes it, those couple of sentences just takes it there. So I think a vision is fine. And getting specific in the mission.
Great, thank you. Director Ratterman.
Yes, I think a vision statement, again, if you would ask me yesterday or at the beginning of this meeting, I would say, no, we're good where we're at. But in talking about it and what it does, and I'd like to see that word trust in here that we've talked about a little bit. And I don't know about community versus our county. Communities is I don't know, in our county there are 20 communities, and if you talk to people, what is your community, they're going to tell you it's Murphy's, it's Copperopolis, Valley Springs is my community. So I do like that incorporating the entire county in here as well. I think it explains something. And then again, the word trust should go in there, as we talked before.
So why don't we strike community for right now and just put our county or do / our county for consideration. Thank you. Director Sakata.
I believe we need a vision statement. These two suggestions are a good starter, but we do need to add that trust where it says partners. You're trying to include the ratepayers, but I'm not certain if ratepayer would feel like a partner, like that's who you're talking to. So I'd want to make sure the vision statement has something about the public, the ratepayers, and that trust. But yes, we do need a vision
with our
statement.
Customers and partners, if we added that, would that be helpful? In vision statement 1?
That might be a start. I'm just not sure. I just know that trust is really important to me for our customers, ratepayers. I don't even like calling them customers, but I don't know what the right word is to use. Yes, they are customers. They're also ratepayers, and we are responsible to represent them, you know, those who are connected and whatnot. So I don't know what quite the right word is, but
Sure.
yes, let's
And maybe
move with the
after
vision statement.
resilience, in the first one, we could put sustain the health and resilience, building trust within our county or something like that. It's
I
not
like that.
perfect, but
I like that. Yeah.
okay, great. Thank you. Director Thomas.
Okay, I think that others on the board know that I kind of borrowed an idea from down in San Diego, where the workers of a particular agency down there all had vests on that was very proudly announced on the back of their vest that they were working for the region's trusted leader in these activities. You know, and I really liked that. It resonated well with me. To answer John's question, yes, I think that the vision statement is needed because that's the place you put it and not in the mission. But if you can just somehow weave that thought about the region's trusted leader, I mean, that will help us recruit. That'll help us if we accomplish being a trusted leader. That will help us with immeasurably with the customers. I had a lady tell me the other day that there's two things that she doesn't like about Calaveras County. She said that CCWD reminds her of Jesse James. So I just do not want that to be the typical thought process that goes through somebody's mind.
Thank you. And I think what we could change, and I put it in the chat room without spelling it correctly, in Vision 1, it could be our vision is to be the trusted leader and collaborate. So is to be the trusted leader.
I like that. Yep.
And it could even say our vision is to be the trusted leader and partner to collaborate, but we can play with that as well. So to incorporate that, thank you. Director Davidson, do you think we need a vision statement? And if so, any comments?
No, I don't think we do, but also it sounds like we're headed that direction. I just want to remind people, you know, back in 46 or whatever it was, there was a vote taken, you know, for us to resume ownership of all the county water rights. We don't just represent the ratepayers. We represent every person in this county, and that was done, you know, by an election. And I can remember this conversation 20 years ago when I wrote the last vision or mission statement, whatever it is. You know, I kept bringing the fact up that, you know, let's go back to the original election material and see what the voters approved. You know, I know we've changed a lot. We're doing a lot of different things, but there was an election taken on years ago, and on that, and I can't recall what it said on the ballot, but it would be worth having the board and our staff take a look at that. You know, because that's how we got the authority in the first place. So that's the end of my comment. But I mean, I just want to make sure that we understand we don't just represent ratepayers. You know, the water rights are everybody in the county is the owner of our water rights.
I'd like to respond to that really quickly. We do have, I think it's a great point, President Davidson. We do have some really insightful historical materials about the formation of the district. And I think we all need to become more familiar with those. So I will make sure after this meeting to distribute that material to the board and staff and to our consultants as well. I think I like the idea of being grounded in that.
And Michael, often in the strategic plans that we lead, we do have a page in the strategic plan dedicated to a historical timeline, because it is important to see when the district was founded and just to really look at the history and where the district's been and where it's going is really important for those two bookends. That things don't stay static, but we do need to remember those authorizations that were given to us and the foundation of the law and policy that has been given to the board to direct. So I think that would be helpful too when we develop that historic page.
I think it's a great point. There is a rich history here that we need to be very mindful of and make sure is incorporated in this. So I'm glad you raised that, President Davidson, and I'll make sure we get that information out.
And I'd like to add a comment, please.
Sure, go ahead, Director.
Okay. I just want to commend Director Davidson for remembering what he said in 2011, because he specifically said we need to go back and find out exactly what we said or what was on the ballot. No, he said that how many years ago, and he's saying it again, and I appreciate that.
Bertha, if I could just find my sunglasses.
This is Cindy, and I appreciate Director Davidson's comment because he's right on that. However, I feel, well, the comment about putting our history in is really important, but I think our ratepayers maybe feel like they absorb most of the cost for everything, even though that's not true. So somehow, we need to let the ratepayers know that everybody in the county does contribute some kind of a payment, whether the property taxes or what have you. But I still feel it's really important to let those ratepayers who do get another service from us other than the service we provide to protect our water rights. So I think we need to keep that in mind as well. Just because the vote said we're going to do this, and we will, and we do, I think our ratepayers somehow need to know that they're not the only ones making the payment for everything that we do.
Yes, and Director Sakata, that's a good point, because when we write up the goals and the objectives, there will be goals and objectives that will, for example, be committed to water rights that go beyond just the ratepayers. So we have to make sure that when we're balancing our goals and objectives, that we're taking all those things into consideration.
Great, thank you.
So, and we cannot accomplish all that in a mission and a vision statement. We have to look at the whole of the document to do that. So the great thing about a strategic plan is it's projecting forward 5 years, whereas your history is keeping you rooted in those foundational decision-making and why we've evolved to where we have. So it gives someone at a glance the total picture. That could be for your ratepayers. It could be for future recruits. It could be for new partnerships and alliances that you're creating where you find alignment that can help leverage assets. So there's reasons to doing that. So thank you. Did I miss any of the directors about asking for their suggestions on the vision statement?
Can I have the floor again for a second? This is Director Davidson. I still wanted to add to my comments. I think we have our two main duties are to reliably serve water and wastewater service. And what that really means right now is replace aging infrastructure before it fails. And then the other is we need to provide services that coincide with our new general plan. We need to be planning for that. I think those are the two most important things that we need to be doing at this point.
Yeah, so I would recommend that, again, we acknowledge the general plan, goals and objectives in that section, unless you feel like that has to be foundational in the vision statement, and same with the aging infrastructure, because priorities will shift and change as incoming priorities come to light. I mean, your general plan goes for how many years? It goes beyond the 5-year strategic plan, for example. So I guess I'm asking Director Davidson, would you like to see the general plan mentioned in the vision statement specifically?
Well, I mean, I don't ask the board. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think that's, if you go back historically, that's why we were put in charge of the water rights was to serve these communities. Now the community has actually has a land use map, and you know, anything that we do should be directed toward that land use map, as far as I'm concerned.
We could add in the vision statement, in alignment, some words like this, in alignment with our authorities and the county general plan. So again, it gets to, this is ratepayers, yes, it's water rights, yes. It's for future planning goals of the county in general that's been passed and is being implemented.
Well, here's the one thing, I don't want to be, maybe not specific towards the general plan, because there may be areas in there that we can't serve, so I don't want to say that, you know, have somebody come back to us and say, well, you said in your vision statement that you were going to do everything in the community plan, or in our county's general plan. There's areas that we probably can't serve, and so I don't want to be like super specific in regards to that, but I just want that. I mean, that's definitely my goal, is to make sure that our county develops and grows, you know, in accordance with what the plan is, you know, and we have a role in that. I mean, we will directing where the county goes, you know.
Yeah, Alan, I have a thought, and I, you know, we in suggestion 1, we say the health and resilience of the county or the communities, and do we want to call out the economic health?
Well, that's part of resilience. That's why we didn't do that.
Well,
Resilience.
I mean, but what, you know, what Director Davidson's talking about is the, you know, the duty to manage the water rights and the water resources to contribute to that economic development that's in the general plan. And
But general plans are also now looking at overall resilience as well, that we're speaking to. We could add that, but it is an element. It's like the word sustainability. We're getting a lot of feedback. Do you all hear that?
Yeah, I was gonna mention, Director Underhill, can you please mute your phone when you're not speaking, because we're getting some feedback from your line.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our vision is to be the trusted leader and partner to collaborate and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience within our county. I don't think we need to say build trust if we say trusted leaders, so maybe we take that out. And maybe we need to add something about within our community to reach, something about to be able to reach our county's economic and planning.
Well, doesn't our vision statement have a comment in there about I mean, I don't know if it's a mission statement, but our current one, doesn't it relate to that?
Let's zoom up there. The current mission statement says our team is dedicated to protecting, enhancing, and developing our rich water resources to the highest beneficial use for Calaveras County while maintaining cost-conscious, reliable service and our quality of life through responsible management.
God, that's beautiful. Well, it mentions it there. I mean, you know, that's you know, we were put in charge to develop the water rights, and I can assure you the thought was to their highest economic benefit. You know, and recreational is part of our recreation is part of our economy, obviously a big one. So I just, if we're going to do this, I want some mention in there that we're going to put it to its highest beneficial use.
Yeah, I think that's good. If you could grab that, Maria, and let's grab that highest beneficial use for Calaveras County and move that into the vision. So solutions to sustain health and resilience to the highest and best use.
And I agree, we should not use the county general plan, have that in either our vision or our mission statement. It's not our plan, and us be able to adhere to it without having any control over it, I think wouldn't be beneficial to us at all. But in alignment with our authority and responsibility or something like that would be much better than mentioning a document that's outside our control.
So now we've got, our vision is to be the trusted leader to collaborate and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience. Hold on, it just moved.
Sorry.
Health and resilience to the highest and best use within our county. So let's get rid of to reach our economic and planning goals. And I think it should highest beneficial use instead of highest and best use. Maybe it's highest beneficial use. So I'm going to read it one more time. Our vision is to be the trusted leader to collaborate and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience to the highest beneficial use within our county.
I like it.
So I'm going to read it one more time, and then I'm going to do a mini roll call here to see if it's resonating or not, or what we're missing. So our vision is to be the trusted leader to collaborate and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience to the highest beneficial use within our county. How does that resonate, Director Underhill?
That's fine with me.
Great, thank you. Director Ratterman?
I'm just thinking that there's something missing when we're talking about to collaborate. And we did at one point, we had customers, partners in there.
We can add that. Our vision is to be the trusted leaders to collaborate with our partners, with our customers and partners, or stakeholders.
Okay, something, and I'm not positive which one of those works, but it just seems like we're going to collaborate. Yeah, that's collaboration is great, but with who I think is important.
Okay.
Scott, how about adding regional? Because we do. I mean, we're working with Stanislaus County. We collaborate with Tuolumne County, Amador County, Alpine County, East Bay Mud.
And those would all be our part. I think we could consider all of those our partners. And I think Cindy at one point wanted to add in our customers or give them a voice in this, or not a voice, but to show some attention to them, what our vision is.
What if we said with our valued partners? My concern about saying regional or local, you may get a grant with DWR or the Bureau of Reclamation or the Forest Service, and then that's federal, or state. So I don't want to limit us in our words. So if we said something like our vision is to be the trusted leaders to collaborate with our valued partners, I do consider customers as partners. Without their rates, we're not going to be doing much.
Okay.
But I want to hear, of course, from Director Sakata on that. So if we said our vision is to provide thoughtful leadership to service oops, I'm in the wrong place. Our vision is to be the trusted leader to collaborate with our valued partners and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience to the highest beneficial use within our county. So Director Sakata?
Okay. I will.
Director Sakata, you're on mute.
Sorry, I had to grab a quick phone call. So what was the question? Am I okay with what you just wrote? I think it looks.
If you need me to read it again,
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I think it looks good, and I appreciate what Scott said about adding something about our customers. And I'm wondering if we could put, where it's collaborate with our valued partners and customers. And I know I don't like using that word, but I still think there needs to be something so the everyday person would know that they're included in this vision, not just a business partner. I mean, I know the partners should include a customer, but I'm not certain if all customers would pick up on that.
Yeah, and that's what, I don't know if you got that, but one of the reasons we changed it to valued partners, my question directly to you was, does that identify our customers, because we can't do anything without our customers. They are our
Right.
partners. They're our primary source of our revenue.
Right.
So does that inclusive enough? Because we don't want to list everybody,
Yeah.
because we were mentioning we got the state, the feds, regional, local. That's why we came up with our valued
Well,
partners, just to be more succinct.
I look at the ratepayers, our bosses, if you will. So is it really a part? I look at a partner as, hey, let's reach out to TUD or Amador County to collaborate on something, versus a customer. I think we should be driven what they ask us to do or what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see him in that. If all the other board members are okay with partners, I'm good with it. I still think there's something missing, but I would be okay to go along with this if that's what the rest of the board
Can
wanted.
you put, Maria, in parentheses and customers there? And we'll get the feedback next from Director Thomas.
Thank
Okay.
you.
In looking at that suggestion number one, I like everything except the last part, the resilience to the highest beneficial use within our county. Couldn't we say the highest beneficial use for the citizens of Calaveras County? And that would sort of wrap in our customers and those people who are not our customers that also pay taxes to our organization.
Great. We've added that for consideration. Director Davidson.
Well, again, I appreciate that our customers are a priority, but we represent, every resident in the county.
So let me reread the statement for those who can't see the screen. Our vision is to be the trusted leader to collaborate with our valued partners and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience to the highest beneficial use for the citizens of Calaveras County. And citizens would incorporate the customer idea.
I like it.
That's broad enough. I think that's fine.
Director Sakata, does that accomplish what you were trying to with the customer?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. So I want to go now. I'm going to read it one more time and see if we have alignment. And what I'm looking for is for you guys to say, yes, this is it, or no, it's not. Our vision is to be the trusted leader to collaborate with our valued partners and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience to the highest beneficial use for the citizens of Calaveras County. Director Underhill.
Yes.
Director Ratterman.
Brilliant.
Director Sakata.
Absolutely perfect.
Director Thomas.
Yes, I like it.
Director Davidson.
I don't care.
Yes, you do, Jeff.
We wore him down. So why don't we
Hey,
keep that?
4 brilliants and an I don't care is a pretty good result.
That's better than most.
Yeah.
At least we're going to allow Director Davidson to sleep tonight. So thank you. I know that's a little tedious, which is why we like to do the heavy lifting and the survey beforehand and the interviews. So you will get a chance to see this again, and we will review this again among our team just to make sure it flows right. With that, I think we can move on to values. Capturing the district's values. And again, the district did not have any stated values that we saw. So this, again, all came from the survey and the interviews. This is an important chart that we use to base the values on. You can see we asked for the top 5 just to see where people's emphasis was lying. So transparent was number 1. And this transparent came up because of the trust issues that came up several times today. Fiscally responsible also. And what I love about your fiscally responsible, because many districts do not survey staff, it was very strong. This goes way beyond the directors. This was a very high output by staff. They recognize that. And I think that's really important because not all strategic plans do we actually do the survey as staff. So they recognize this as a true value. Communication was the third, and I want to be clear, the communication was for both internal and external. We need to be better communicators with our customers. We need to be better communicators between the field and then the internal operations. So communication was underlying and foundational to building transparency and trust. Teamwork, again, recognizing that we're all have a different role in delivering the mission and the vision, but without the teamwork, we can't accomplish it. Integrity was very important. Sustainability and resilience, by the way, was very strong throughout the entire survey. And I think you'll be happy to hear, directors, you don't hear about many grants anymore that come from the state or feds without some recognition of resilience or sustainability. It's important to when they're scoring these grant applications. So we think by having that in your mission and vision, you're aligning with where the funding dollars outside of your ratepayers are coming from. Service-oriented, technical excellence. So all these became really important aspects to looking at values. And so what we did was try to make sure that those top 5 were definitely accounted for, but we also took the opportunity to incorporate some of these aligned ideas together in one sentence. So next slide. So the value was transparency. So we gave an example. We didn't completely wordsmith these, but we are transparent in our relationships because that was to get to everything we do is going to be transparent. Communication. Communication is the foundation upon which we build. Fiscal responsibility. We are mindful stewards of our ratepayers' investment. I want to remind you, none of these are in priority. So transparency does not rise above fiscal responsibility, etc. Next value, teamwork. Teamwork is fundamental to our success. Integrity, we operate with integrity. Service-oriented, we proactively engage and serve our customers. Sustainability, resilience, we adapt to changing conditions by assessing risk and seizing opportunity. Do we have anything? So the draft statements all together are here on the screen and also in your board packets. So I want to go, I guess, with the first one, transparency, or maybe I'll just open it up to the directors and you can comment on any of these values on the wordsmithing, or you don't think they should be a value, or we're missing a value or a word that describes the value. So I'd like to open it up, and I see Director Ratterman, you have your hand up. And you may be on mute.
Sorry about that. As we're moving through this, I just noticed that we've kind of using just the board at this point for the mission statement and the vision statement. As we move through those, we didn't get comments from our management team as what they thought about those, even though we did get buy-in from the five board members. I do agree, and we did talk about that we do need buy-in from the board to do something, even to even create a mission statement, or do we want to create a vision statement? But as we move through those, I know our management team has been also focused on this and have probably spent more time than we have on those two that we've already kind of moved through and agreed. I don't know if we've totally agreed on them or what we're going to do in the next board workshop. But before we get into values, shouldn't we hear, and maybe you'll tell me why we don't, from our management team on the first mission and vision?
Sure.
Yeah, Ellen, this is John. I have a comment. The management team had some input into what we brought to you. So the options, and I agree, we should hear from them. But even probably more so, some of the other staff that took their time to be on the workshop today that haven't had any input other than their survey response. I realized sometimes staff may not want to voice their opinion in the board meeting, but this, like we said, transparency and communication and teamwork are some of the values we're talking about. So hopefully,
I'd like to hear. I think inclusion. We haven't used that word, but I certainly think that their input. They're 40 hours a week doing this stuff and spend a lot more time on on the mission and the vision statement than we as a board have.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up, Director Adam. And I guess, Brad Arnold, I'm going to start with you because you had a comment in the chat room. So I'd like you to voice that comment for consideration. And then I'd like anyone else to please raise their hand who'd like to comment on the new draft mission and vision statement that the directors are putting forth to vote on at board meeting number 2, or workshop number 2 rather. So Brad?
Sure. Good morning, directors. Good morning, everyone. The comment I used in the chat box was just during the discussion about surrounding the term beneficial use. It was just to point out as an FYI that the legal term for water rights is reasonable and beneficial use. So that it really just was thinking around the idea that that may have been why that term beneficial use showed up in earlier versions, or is perhaps worth retaining because there is a legal basis for that in water rights. But going to the new draft mission and vision that's been discussed here, realistically, when we were talking as a management team, I had expressed my preference for suggestion 1, and I do like how the directors have taken and molded that a bit to include some of their concerns about some of the services that we provide, perhaps beyond water, wastewater. One of my strongest suggestions for, or reasons for liking suggestion 1 rather, was the inclusion of watershed management. So I do like to see that, watersheds is included in the draft mission. And I'd also be lying if, as the water resources program manager, I also don't like the water resources emphasis right off the bat in there. But realistically, it does point to, what we're responsible for in Calaveras County is to protect, enhance, and develop water resources, manage the watersheds, and then offer services to our customers. But going to a point that I believe it might have been Director Thomas made, it does say our customers in the draft mission. Perhaps there'd be consideration for revisiting not only our customers that we service, but then the rest of Calaveras County that indirectly gets serviced or as part of that otherwise. So something to consider. And then as far as the draft mission, I think that's been pulled together quite nicely. I like what they've put together there. Innovative water resources solutions, health and resiliency. It's hitting on a lot of the key terms. Just something to also consider with both of these is that a lot of terms like sustainability, I believe it was Director Cicada brought up recycled water earlier. So a lot of these terms that are kind of new and on the forefront with groups like DWR, Bureau of Reclamation, others, may be worth considering how we pull those in, but I also don't want to, force it otherwise. So I think the conversation, it's my long-winded way of, I think the conversation's been good, and I kind of like the way this is coming together.
Thank you. And it does show the power of integrating everybody's ideas, right? It's just both of the statements are much more relevant than they were when we started this meeting. So thank you, Brad. I wanted to hear from some of the other staff. I know that there are some customer service staff that are online, and I'd love to hear your perspective since you have the filter and the ear of the customers. Well, anybody else who has any comments on the mission or vision? I don't want to just call people out, but we would love to hear your input. Jessica.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I'm being new here, I'm just really excited that we're moving forward and drafting a vision. I think it's extremely important as, the external affairs manager being that outward voice, that we have a clearly defined vision and mission that, we all stand behind and that we can all hold ourselves accountable to.
So Jessica, just curious, when you see this through the eyes of outsiders, that could be partners or customers, ratepayers, do you think this will resonate with them?
I do. I think it's, I think we're just throughout the morning, I think the mission specifically, I really like this third draft a lot, as far as a solid message for partners in the community. And then I think the vision is definitely moving along too. It's not too specific, but it's something that's definitely attainable. And we are setting ourselves up for success.
Thank you. Any other comments, Jessica?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Really appreciate your input. Rebecca?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm really happy with how this is coming along. I've seen from the outside, being outside of CCWD and being the auditor controller for Calaveras County and hearing on the property tax side, a lot of questions we had every year from property tax payers, property owners in the county that were not necessarily customers of CCWD, just really didn't understand when they were looking at their property tax bill why they were giving money to CCWD. And so I think what this does is it helps build that narrative for the district that we have a wider responsibility, not just to customers, ratepayers within the district, but to the county as a whole, and making sure that we're building that narrative up so it's easier to point people to this type of document, and make sure that they understand what our role is here on a wider perspective, I think is really good.
Thank you, Rebecca, for that input. Any others with comments or suggestions? Does it pass our attorney's muster?
Yeah, I think it's good. I liked Brad's comments about the beneficial use comment, but I think it covers a lot of stuff. And I think Jeff made a good point, and I've heard it the time I've been here, people complaining about their property tax going to CCWD if they're not a customer. So I think it really kind of highlights those issues as well.
Great, thank you. How about our county administrator? Not sure. Al, would you like to comment on it? You're on mute. There you go.
My apologies. I was trying to unmute. Thank you for the opportunity to participate. I've listened very intently to the discussion. I appreciate the thoughtfulness of how CCWD's plan may overlap with our general plan. And all I can say is kudos to the organization for doing this effort. And I frankly hope to steal some of the discussion and template it over with my board, because we've been discussing the same type of process. So thank you for the opportunity and great work. And I really appreciate the discussion.
Thank you. Are there any others on in our meeting on the phone or otherwise who'd like to comment on the mission and vision? And then finally,
Ellen, just real quickly, Michael identified Melissa's on, and I don't know if she wants to both introduce herself to the meeting and maybe comment on this as one of the partners, if you will.
I think I saw her join. Melissa Eads is the Angels Camp city manager, and she just joined a few minutes ago, I think. So, Melissa, welcome to the meeting, and you're on the hot seat right away. What do you think about the last 2 hours of discussion? We can't hear you if you're talking, if you're muted. Anyways, I'm really glad to see Melissa and Al joining, and like I said at the outset, I reached out to other agencies as well. I would not at all be surprised to see Larry McKinney or Ed Pattison or other agency leaders from our regional partners joining these discussions as we move forward over the next few months. Frankly, I'm just really glad to see it at the risk of sounding like pandering a little bit. I'm just really glad to see the board as engaged in this discussion as they are, because really this is the blueprint that we need from the board that sets the path for us. And I think, I can say, almost 2 years in now, having something like this presented to me on day one would have been incredibly valuable, as the board having put this much work into a document that really captures what we, the role that we see ourselves playing in the county. And so I think it's just a really, really valuable discussion, and I'm just really grateful the board's really engaged in it. So.
Yeah, and I just want to say this is a partnership. Speaking about partnerships, the board sets policy, the board owns the strategic plan, but a strategic plan is only as good as it is executed on. So this allows an opportunity, and I have never in 30 years, at least after year 1.5, been involved with a strategic plan that wasn't dynamic. This is going to change, but this should be the compass for discussions with staff and the board to be able to make real-time decisions. While we set these intentions in place, life happens in the in-between, but it gives you a mechanism of recalibrating and being able to reprioritize as new opportunities or new threats present themselves. So with that, we now know, we've now described what the district does through its mission. We described our envisioned future of what the district wants to be like holistically in the future. And now we want to talk about how we want to conduct our business. So core values are really about communicating how we interact both internally and externally and what is important to our agency. So these are our guiding our guidelines in how we conduct ourselves. So I'd like to open up the value statements back up to the directors and invite the directors to raise their hand and comment on any of the values. Did we miss any? Are there words here you'd like to see that we didn't use? Any comments on these values?
Ellen, can you see that I raised my hand?
I don't see your hand. I think this is Director, oh, there it is, Director Thomas. My cursor was over it. Go ahead.
Okay. I like everything that I see here under these values. Good job with all of that. I don't know whether you got information about why I was delayed this morning. I had a rental truck and a grand piano that I was dealing with, and now there's a customer waiting for the rental truck. So I'm gonna have to step away for about probably 20 minutes or so to take the truck back. So.
Okay, and if you have any comments or other thoughts, please feel free to email those or get those to us in some way so we can incorporate them.
Okay, I apologize for coming in and out, but it's a kind of a complicated life these days.
Thanks, Director Thomas.
Thanks for your efforts. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Director Sakata.
So I think I want just a little clarity. So a value is a statement that we will commit or somehow, for instance, okay, we are transparent in our relationship. So if that's our value, supporting our mission and vision statement, it may not say we are going to be, because that's what the vision says. So here's a value that we hold dear, and we will be transparent, or we are transparent in our relationships. We feel communication is a foundation upon which we build. Is that kind of the way I look at these?
It is. It's what we aspire to be. It's kind of like that.
That's it.
It's a cultural contract, right? So that doesn't mean that 100% of the time we're going to comport ourselves, but we now have something when people are not comporting themselves, either staff or board or anyone dealing with a district, say these are really at the board direction is our core values, and we're going to conduct our business. Are there going to be times that we may not, accomplish that? There is, but at least we can now go back and have a conversation based on our printed values. These are our values, and how can we get there or better demonstrate our values? We want to definitely walk the talk, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I kind of frame this as, what you hold yourself and others in the organization accountable to, the way you operate.
Okay, so with that being said, the service-oriented value, we proactively engage and serve our customers. I kind of look at that as kind of our operators who out there that interact with the customers. But I would like to see something that again, it's back to customer service. I don't believe, I believe we could do better in customer service. And so is there something we could add a value that it's just customer satisfaction? I mean, something as simple as that?
We could add, we proactively engage and serve our customers and strive for satisfaction or something like that. That's probably not the best way, but I would suggest that we add it on to this idea. And service oriented, I don't think is just staff, because even you as directors are serving your ratepayers or your constituents rather. So I think we need to open that up to we proactively engage and serve our customers and strive for satisfaction.
Well, I look at service oriented is, you know, and I know this is just me, but okay, so we got to go connect or change out a water meter. That's where I see the service. I look at customer service is more of a different kind of interaction with the customer. Let's say they're calling because they can't pay their bill, or they're calling because they want to make a payment, or whatever it might be. And let's say, you know, when a ratepayer gets a hold of me and says, hey, I didn't get the response I'm looking for from, you know, Joe manager or whatever. And so so that's how I see that as service oriented versus customer service. And I think the value, and I just really feel that CCWD needs to improve on that. And I think that should be a value that separates it from all other values. Again,
Yeah,
just my thoughts.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You're getting very specific into the details of how we serve our customers. Some are serving our customers by picking up the phone in a timely way. That came up abundantly, that we need to be able to answer those phones. And then how soon do we answer the phones and then provide whatever the customer's request is. The customer's request may be something about paying their bill. It may be they have a leak. It could be many, many things.
Right.
So I think that when we're talking about service oriented, it needs to pervade our district in a way that goes beyond. It might not even, frankly, I question whether we should even have customer in here, because we also need to be in service to the citizens, to our partners. We have to be service oriented in the way we're serving our contracts, our grants. For example, I would tend to make sure that these are more overarching than limiting. That would be my suggestion to the board as they look at these statements. Are they being too specific? And Stacy says customer advocate. So Stacy, why don't you provide your thoughts on that?
I was just trying to provide a different phrase for customer service to maybe capture what Director Cicada was talking about.
So we proactively engage in our advocates for our customers. Would that be better? We proactively engage in our active or our advocates for our customers, because we already have service oriented above.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's very true.
Ellen, when
Yes.
Stacy's done. Okay. So maybe and the other thing is proactively engage. You know, we all in our industries use, you know, buzzwords, and I like to try and bring it down to make it more of a natural verbiage or whatever. What if instead of we proactively engage and are advocates for our customer, why couldn't we have something as simple as we strive for customer satisfaction, period? You know?
Yeah, I
that should be
actually like that.
everything. I mean,
yeah, that's more holistic, like we were
just
saying.
Plain and simple. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And these are meant to be very simple and not a thesis.
Yeah.
Thanks for that input, Director Ratterman.
On that subject, I unmute, yeah. On the subject of customer service, I like the word customer experience much better than customer service. And even when we got it down to strive for customer satisfaction, we're still talking about a good customer experience. And I'm just thinking out loud that you can give as much service, and everybody in CCWD, including the directors, can give great service. It still may not be a good customer experience. And that's what we're aiming for, is a good or better a positive customer experience. If we're gonna on this one right here, just gonna throw my
That's great. We strive for a positive customer experience, or for positive.
Brilliant, Scott.
Thank you, Cynthia. Hey,
this is John. I guess I have a question. Is service oriented even the right value, or should the value be customer focused?
Yep, that's good too. Except again, our service might go beyond customers.
And okay, this is one of the 7. We picked up the top 7. My other question is, of these values, and it is whether it's service oriented or customer service or changing the name of that. I think we know what we're talking about, and we're going to put some words in there. Are we trying to create another paragraph here, or are our values going to be these 7 bullet points? How is this going to look out?
Yeah, we usually will do something graphically really nice in the strategic plan, so we can do it. We usually list them in a way so they're easy and memorable, but we haven't gotten that far to the design, but they're meant to be easy and memorable.
But they will be this simple, and
yes.
And probably there'll be a goal around customer satisfaction and objectives around that when we move forward.
And I just would like to remind us that these were the terms that were in the survey that people ranked. So it doesn't necessarily have to be service oriented. It's just that's where people's interest lay. And they gave reasons why they chose that. And customers were the reason people chose service oriented. So it doesn't necessarily, people won't see the value, they'll see the statement. So as long as the statement reflects what the reason that value was chosen.
Yeah, and I think we've captured that, because both directors were really focused on it's the service in the eyes of the customer that's important.
And we may not always give the customer what they want, like the lowest rates in the state of California, but we want to make sure their experience in that discussion or process is a positive process and discussion. So anything else, Director Rademan, before I go on to the other directors?
No, that's good. I just wanted to know what these values are going to look like, and throw my 2 cents in on that one we were kind of stuck on there, service oriented. Thank you.
We can have less of these values if you want. So I know that's going to be Director Davidson. Do we even need these values? Do we want these values? And with that, Director Davidson, I'd love to get your input. Are you on mute? Director Davidson.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I'll be content with whatever the board decides on this. I don't really have a firm opinion on this one way or the other.
Okay, thank you. Director Underhill. You might be on mute here. Let me unmute you. It's not letting me. Director Underhill, you need to unmute. Director Underhill, we don't know if you can hear us. So I'm not sure. Any other comments while we're trying to get Director Underhill? I don't know, Rachel, if you can get in contact with her or not, make sure she's still online. Rebecca, I meant.
Yeah,
So,
I'll reach out.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca. Great. So any other comments? Are these the values? Should there be fewer of them, more of them? Any other specifics on the values? Any comments for others on the phone? Or via the platform here, Teams platform? Stacy.
Yes, as the HR manager for the district, I'm very excited to see these values because I see a ton of value, not to be an oxymoron, but a ton of value in having these. They can be used in so many different ways. And I would not be surprised as people understand and we communicate with our employees and our external stakeholders. It's possible that you could actually see these change, and I think Ellen would probably agree with me, but I do think we've done a very good job at identifying the biggest concerns that we have right now, and I'm very excited to start using these in my just daily work products.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to have a platform for discussions when we're not always living up, because none of us live up to all these 100% of the time. We may think we do, but they're not easy values, although they're values that everybody can get behind, that this is what we want as part of the district. So I think it's a great way to have that conversation piece when the values aren't being exemplified in the perfect way. So Director Raderman, you have your hand up?
Yeah, that was awesome to hear from Stacy that that there's someone going to be using these and these are going to be helpful and that they're great. That's fantastic to hear. But with that said, Stacy, are these the right 7 if you're the one that's going to be using them, and as an HR manager, are these the right? These are the 7 top that floated to the top with most votes by the 50 or 60 people that took the survey, but are these the 7 that you can use the most in that list? Or are there other things like ethics and innovative, respectful? I mean, how about respectful? Is that something that should be in here? What is your pick if you had to pick for your top 7?
So yeah, I agree. I mean, I can make a case for why every single one of those should be a value, and I think a lot of them, though, we may have communication. I think when we talk about that communication, we're also talking about respectful communication. So there's really a lot of those values are combined within one, even though maybe we're using one single word to describe it. We're really, we're focused on what does that value mean. So I think what we have is great. It's better than what we have now, which is nothing. So I think we can definitely build upon it. And that's why I say we may see this change in, 5-10 years when employees start really understanding what these values are and how it correlates to their daily work as well.
And we could consider going down to the communication one, and we could either start it with effective communication as the foundation upon which we build, or we could add respectful communication, but usually effective includes respectful. So we can use some more of the words that were values above and make these a little bit more descriptive.
Yeah, this is John. I guess, I think the organization embracing these and to a degree, the culture of the organization helps define what these mean going forward. I would say integrity includes treating people respectfully, so there is a lot of the ones lower down on the list. I think we can say maybe they're already included, and the organization defines what these mean going forward. to a degree.
And
This just brings the focus to them.
Yeah, I had a question on fiscal responsibility. We say we are mindful stewards of our ratepayers' investment. And what made me pause on that is ratepayers are certainly an investor in the primary, but what about being mindful of fiscal responsibility of our partnerships or our grant opportunities? And maybe that's taking it too broadly, but again, our ratepayers are paramount. But if we want to partner with our feds or the state or others, we need to make sure that it's mutually beneficial, so to speak, that we're meeting the goals there. So it's just a question. And I know Director Sakata, this would probably speak right to the ratepayers and customers. And that's why that was the intention of why we wrote this. But I'm wondering, do we need to broaden it? We are mindful stewards of our ratepayers and other fiscal partners. I don't know.
Well, I don't want to see ratepayers go away. I'm getting some feedback. Anyhow, I don't want to see ratepayers go away, but I would say that when we're doing grant writing or partnering with other entities, that is a ratepayers investment, in my opinion.
It's true.
So
that's good. Thank you. Stacy, did you have other comments because your hand's still up? Okay, great.
No, sorry about that.
No problem. Brad, did you have some comments?
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to echo that. I think some of this is getting too specific, and just to kind of, remind ourselves that we do need to broaden some of these values out to the extent that, these are the sort of core, things that the district is trying to accomplish. And as far as communication goes, I hear a lot emphasized on the customers and ratepayers, and rightfully so, but I venture to guess that we don't, hear from ratepayers and customers when things are going well. And so therefore our ultimate goal, may be in fact to never hear the phones ring because there are no problems in the district and we're doing our jobs, incredibly well. And so going to that effective communication, being the foundation, I get that there's sort of the internal versus external communication aspects of that, but, realistically at our core, we are a water supplier and wastewater utility agency. And so transparency, fiscal responsibility, those are really the foundational core values of any public agency that's providing a utility service for someone. And so I just, throw those out there for consideration.
So are you suggesting any specific changes, Brad?
I don't know that I'm any specific changes. I hesitate to do that because I like the back and forth, but if I had to point to one, it would be under the effective communication as the foundation upon which we build. I'm not quite sure how I would change that exactly, but I would want to change that, and probably wouldn't be the foundation, but certainly would emphasize that effective communication is certainly important.
It's paramount.
Is paramount. Yeah. I mean, paramount still suggests that communication is the ultimate sort of value of the district. And while that, certainly is true, the more you sort of parse down, I can think of other values, service oriented, being one on the screen I could point to where that's, more important for a water utility that provides public services. Like ultimately.
Yeah, just to remind you, these are not in any hierarchical order. We naturally do that when we read, but these are not in a hierarchical order. And we could probably even do something design wise that would be interesting that wouldn't make it appear that way.
Right.
As one of the reasons we don't number them, just as an example.
And that's a good reminder. So perhaps that's my mistake reading it.
But you guys are technical and you go right to the, I understand why you, and I do think it's a human condition to do that. So we could also maybe mix some of these up, but thanks for that feedback, Brad. Director Sakata?
Yes, I like what Brad said. Under the effective communication as a foundation upon which we build. I don't really care for that. And I think somebody said was imperative or whatever word was used. I like that other better. That
paramount
to build. Paramount, that's good.
Paramount.
And then I also like the idea of aren't in kind of an order based on what we think is most important. We might want to consider what is most important and move it around a little bit. Because like you said, it's human nature to look at as such.
What would be your priorities stating that? What ones would you like to see?
Transparency first. Transparency first, customer service second, and then fiscal responsibility, communication, teamwork, etc.
Okay.
I just think that transparency is really important as for the board members with their constituents. And the second is we have to be very good in customer service. And really customer service and fiscal responsibility is probably the same level. But in a listing, I would do it as what you've just done.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's several that should be side by side, you know, teamwork, communication. The integrity is really high up there too. But anyhow, I just think if you grab those first three, the others can fall in any other way.
Sure.
But yeah.
Thank you. I want to check with the other directors one last time here. So Director Underhill, any comments? And can you hear us now?
I don't see her on here at all anymore.
Okay. Director Ratterman, any other comments?
Yeah, what Director Cindy just stated, I agree that also about the transparency, service-oriented, and fiscal responsibility, but I think those are achieved through sustainability and resiliency. You can't do anything without integrity. I mean, if we didn't have any integrity, we certainly wouldn't be transparent. And teamwork and communication are all part of achieving those top three. And so I'm wondering, are we creating a couple sentences here, or this is the format we're going to leave it in?
Well, I guess I'd like to add, it doesn't have to look exactly like this. Would you like it to be more written in a paragraph, or do you have any?
It seems like if we can create a sentence that says that our core values are transparency, service oriented, or we are transparent in our relationships through achieving or striving for positive customer experience, and we're mindful of doing it in a responsible, fiscally responsible way through effective communication, teamwork, integrity, and with sustainability in mind. I mean, something like that would be creating that paragraph that we're looking for. And it's kind of already, by moving those three around, kind of already creates it, if that's what we're looking for.
Why don't we come back with some different designs of that at the next workshop? Would that work for all of you? We can put our heads together and come up with something that you can make a choice with.
Yeah, I'd like to see a value statement as opposed to a list of our core values.
Okay. Yep, we can do that.
I'm okay with that.
Throwing my in here.
Yep, we can do that. So
might I add a statement, a question, or a comment?
There she is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Glad you're back.
Oh yeah. What I was thinking of is when we're talking about service oriented.
Yes.
Customers are our top priority. Is there any way that we can bring that word trust back in there?
Sure. So right now we say we strive for positive customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
We strive to build trusted partnerships and provide positive customer service.
I will not be doing the inauguration on January 20th.
So we need to mute some of the phones.
John Quincy Adams and Andrew Johnson also did not attend the inauguration of their successors, though we should point out.
I don't know. Somebody, if you guys could all be mindful of your phones, we're getting some background.
Hey, Ellen, I'm going to mute everyone and then they can unmute as they need.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now everyone can unmute when they need to. You need to unmute, Ellen.
There, I'm unmuted now. So Director Underhill, we service oriented. We strive to build trust and create positive customer experience. And Director Underhill,
I think that's important because, you know, I keep hearing from a couple of directors about the trust that CCWD needs to build upon. And so I think that's important that we tell them again how we're doing, how we are emphasizing the trust or building of the trust.
And I'm wondering here again, if it should be something like we strive to build trust and create a positive experience with all district matters or something like that, because that would again address trust and positive experience internally as well as externally. But I'd like to hear from Director Sakata on that, because I know we are very specific to the customer experience, but this does have internal customers and external customers.
Well, again, I think the average customer, ratepayer, whatever we're calling them, needs to see that they're specifically pointed out. So when you put district matters, I don't see that the customers being, you know, face, if you will. I prefer, you know, I like that we strive to build trust and create a positive customer experience. That to me is really important, and I'd hate to see that customer experience go away. You know, I like Bertha's recommendation to put trust in there. I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think customer can be defined different ways for different things. The property tax ratepayers are customers. The utility ratepayers are customers. Those that may give you grants, you're providing a service in response. So I think broader is probably the best bet here.
Okay, great. Any other comments, directors, on the values?
That are subject to president confirmation, more than any president ever elected has done.
So if those of you who have joined us could mute your phones, or if you want to try that again, John, and we can unmute as we talk.
Yeah, I think we're good now, probably.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, directors, on the values?
Defense, Treasury, Homeland Security. I nominated them back in November. Given what our country
we can't get away from these political discussions anywhere, can we?
Yeah, apparently not.
There is no
please
island.
turn that off.
There is no island.
Yeah, we can listen to more of that after in the afternoon.
That's why I suggested, John, maybe we could mute everybody again. And here, I'll mute all.
Considered in the separate jobs report released today.
Okay, so you're gonna have to unmute your microphone if you want to talk. But the question is, yeah, it's still there. Question: are there any other changes to the values? Director Underhill, are you happy with these values?
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt here. Ms. Lillard, you're logged in and your phone keeps unmuting and your TV is very loud. So we need you to be able to be on mute, please.
I've been out of work for a long.
Yeah, I don't know why she unmutes.
Well, can't you disconnect her from the meeting? Because I don't like listening to
This
it.
is Matt. It appears that Fran Lillard keeps unmuting and playing that, so she's disrupting the meeting. And so you can either, on whoever's controlling it, if you can either continue mute her so she can't unmute, or just drop her from the meeting.
With that advice and the request from, I guess maybe the board president should make that determination. We can remove her. If that's your preference.
I would remove her.
Okay,
All right, let's
she's
do that.
currently on mute, so let's see if she stays on mute.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to start with Director Underhill. Any other comments, improvements to the values?
Yes, the only thing that I had a question about was assessing risk. Does that mean that we're looking for risk at all times? Is that, how we interpret that?
So on sustainability and resistance, or resiliency rather, we adapt to changing conditions by looking and managing risk. Good management is always looking at the risk of doing something or the risk of not doing something. And it helps you prioritize projects, fiscal spending, staffing, all sorts of internal management decisions. That's why these words were chosen, that we should always be looking for opportunity, but also be assessing the risk of doing or not doing an action or making a decision. So in our daily decision making, Michael and his staff are looking at the risk of doing or not doing. And that's how they help prioritize their capital improvement program and every decision they make, particularly as new opportunities or stressors arise. We know just in the last 10 months that COVID-19 definitely had a change of conditions with how the district operates, even as we're operating this meeting right now, right? So just trying to assess how do we need to change, look at the risk and look at the opportunities. That's why it was worded that way.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Director Ratterman?
I like where we're going, and I think what somebody said, Ellen, it might have been you, that we're going to take these 7 words and create a couple different paragraphs and for our next meeting, so it looks similar in layout to the mission and vision. But other than that, I think we're well on our way. I like this where it is right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Director Sakata?
I'm good with everything as well. I like the direction we're going.
Thank you. Director Davidson? Director Davidson, you're on mute. Let me see. Is Director Davidson still with us?
As far as I can see.
Okay.
Still shows there.
And yeah, I'm not hearing from Director Davidson. So I just want to see if any other individual on the call or the platform has any comments. Please raise your hand. So what we would like to recommend now is that we take all the feedback that we got. We will do more of a value statement, and we will weave that together before our next board meeting for you to review and to comment on as far as the values. So maybe Maria, you could just start by, at the very beginning, reading over our mission, vision, and values, and then after that, I think we can conclude.
Great. Okay. So we'll come back with these next time. The new draft mission statement. CCWD protects, enhances, and develops the water resources and manages the watersheds of Calaveras County to provide safe, reliable, and cost-effective services to our customers. And that's what we do. And our vision of how we want to do that, the new draft vision is, our vision is to be the trusted leader to collaborate with our valued partners and provide innovative water resource solutions to sustain health and resilience to the highest beneficial use for the citizens of Calaveras County. And next time we'll also come back with a statement including the values that we've worked on today.
I think those are fantastic. Really appreciate everybody's input on this.
And if I could throw one thing in here before we leave, again, I do think that staff is going to be focused on this. Again, they're working 40 hours. Us directors may or may not even visit this in between now and the next meeting. But if anyone else on the phone, any staff members, and we haven't heard from our customer service crew yet, but if they have any comments on those first two statements that we think we've finalized, I would definitely want to hear from them on how these can be better and what they might be missing.
Thank you, Director Adderman, and we would show you those in draft changes as well from what we created today, so you'd know what changes were changed between now and the next workshop.
Yeah, and I would just say, I think sometimes people aren't always comfortable sharing in public meetings, but reaching out to those folks to make sure we get input. I really appreciate them tuning in and hearing this discussion, and we'll make sure we reach out and get input from as many people as we can.
So before we, oh yes, Director Thomas, thank you, you're back.
I'm back. I just got back to hear the last part of the value discussion. I just wanted to tell everybody how much I've enjoyed being involved in this, and I'm really happy that we have such a talented team helping us with it. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Thomas. I actually, before John Woodling, before we conclude for the next steps, I'd like to hear from each director any final thoughts, observations, comments from today's workshop. And I'm going to start with Director Underhill.
Okay. Yes, I'm very pleased with how the session went today. And I think what I enjoy or what I appreciate, Ellen, is you and the staff incorporating the thoughts that we have to make it acceptable and reasonable to everybody else. I feel very valued. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Underhill, for all your participation and comments. Director Ratterman.
I like where we're headed. I think we've done a lot of work today. I'm surprised. I didn't know what to expect on these sort of things. Like I said at the outset, I was happy with just a mission and didn't think we needed anything else. But after going through this, I do see the value of the mission, the vision, and the values, and I appreciate all your hard work and look forward to our next meeting now, which I didn't look forward to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Sakata.
Yeah, it's funny because I was kind of thinking along the lines of Scott, what are we going to be able to achieve in this meeting? And I have to say, I'm very impressed with everybody, your staff, Ellen, Michael, all of our staff, our board members, everybody did have wonderful comments. And I believe this is going to be a wonderful project that we've started. We're going to end up with a very good product, and I'm just really happy that it's turned out like it did. So I'll mute now. Okay.
Thank you. Director Thomas.
I think the most memorable thing that I observed today was that Director Davidson was around for that original vote back in 1946. He remembers that clearly. So where is Jeff?
Director Davidson. I have a feeling he dropped off somehow.
He's on a roof somewhere.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well,
Anyway,
thank you again for your participation. John Woodling is going to close us out today.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And I think this did really go well. It's, this remote makes it a little tough, but on the other hand, I think everybody was willing to speak up and engage. We a few of the items coming out of this, we will bring back for the next meeting some of the background to the original 1946 intent of the district to provide a framework for everybody as we think going forward. We will take what we've gotten from you today, prepare that in a final form with additional content and comments if we get them, and come back to you and present any additional comments we get. But coming back to the next meeting, we'll want to get an actual adoption of the mission, vision, and values, so we can put that aside and move forward. The next meeting we'll start to focus on the goals, and again, that'll come from the survey results as a foundation, and we'll work with the management team to tee that up in a form that we can get good input from the board and others participating in the workshop. And then finally, we'll go to ultimately the third workshop in March and get down to the objective level, the actual actions related to each of those goals that we'll have you work on. Subsequent to all that, the team will go back and work on drafting this all up into a document. The text and preliminary design of what that'll look like to get the board's approval and adoption of the final content of the plan. Then we'll go back and make that into a publishable document that you'll have online and in print to kind of guide you forward. So, as I said, I think this was really beneficial. We'll think about how we could figure out if this can be in person next time, because I think that's beneficial. Lacking that, I think we learned from today a few things. The ability to mute somebody and not let them unmute themselves would be good. So we'll consider the platform and the capabilities, but thank all of you for your engagement. And as I said in the beginning, the process is probably more important than the outcome. And I think a couple of directors conveyed that they weren't sure what we needed or what we're going to do, but I think we got a lot of good input through the discussions.
Thank you, John. And Michael, I wanted to see if you had any parting words of encouragement for us.
Yeah, I'm also just really, really pleased at how this went, especially after getting off to a little bit of a slow start with technical difficulties and all of that. But really appreciate your guys's work and again, just really appreciate the board's engagement on this. I mentioned at one point, how beneficial it would have been on day one to have this kind of a document, but it's only beneficial if it's really developed and supported and championed by the board, because that's where we get our marching orders. So seeing the board's level of engagement in this is really what's going to make it valuable. So I really, really appreciate that. Al had to drop off early, but he already sent me an email, really kind of inspired by the engagement from our board in this process. And I had a conversation with Larry McKinney yesterday along the similar lines, where there's already, because of this, there's already discussions about some regional cooperation, and where maybe not a regional strategic plan, but at least overlapping efforts where we're matching up goals and strategic visions. And I think the fact that we could, by doing this, we could start that conversation. That's just another side benefit that's coming out of this. So really appreciate everyone taking this seriously and engaging in the process.
Well, thank you. Are there any other comments from anybody else that is on the meeting platform? Any comments from the public, staff? Well, I want to thank everyone for starting their Friday and their weekend out with feeling so accomplished for this week and giving us a lot of material to work with. And we look forward to a very productive workshop number 2, which is going to be held on February 19th. And we're going to be moving in the direction of trying to find a platform where we can actually be in the same room safely.
Nice.
Okay, with Jeff not here to close this meeting, our vice president, I think, is here. Cindy?
Holy cow, I get to do something? Let me go to my agenda here then. Let's see. All right, so the next board meetings are looking at January 13th in January 27th. And then, like Ellen said, we'll do the next workshop on the 19th of February. So if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting at 11:21.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody.